All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to another edition of Deconversion Stories. Today I'm chatting with my friend Alexis here, also known as the Trans Atheist on Twitter, which there's a link to below, and you can follow her there. And also you can follow her on YouTube. She's got a channel that you haven't really done much with it lately, but you're planning on doing something with it. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, so we can look forward to some fantastic content on that channel as well, covering all kinds of issues, I'm sure. Today we're going to be talking, of course, about your journey away from whatever belief system you had before. And being okay with you, we'll talk a little bit about some trans issues as well.
Sounds good.
So basically what I ask people is I say, take us back to as far as you can remember, whatever belief system you were in and how those dominoes started to fall that kind of made you find your way out of it. Like, oh, this is bunk. I don't believe this anymore, that kind of thing. And kind of the ups and downs and all the stuff in between there and to becoming the activist that you are today.
All right. Well, I was brought up very, like a very devout Southern Baptist kind of person and homeschooled to keep out of the secular schools. So I never
that evolution.
Exactly. I never even knew I could question my religion. So I didn't do that till years later. And I think the first time I ever kind of started questioning it was we went to a church back when I was around 8 or 9, and I was physically bullied a lot at that church at Sunday school, and our Sunday school teacher was very racist, and
wow,
he had a lot of sermons about messages. I don't know if there were sermons against interracial marriage, and
right.
That's the first time I even kind of questioned anyone with authority in the Christian church, and that was kind of frowned upon for me to do that. My parents realized that was awful what he said, and I think because of that and the bullying, we left that church to go to I guess you could call it a cult that we were members of for basically until I was about 19 or 20, and it was scary. It was they kind of took bits and pieces out of other cults, other fundamentalist beliefs like purity culture, the quiverful. We were actually one of the smallest families there when we had 7 kids. So everybody there had about 9 or 10. And but the way everybody talked there was it was kind of creepy, off-putting, the way they would word things. And I guess that was the first time I ever really questioned just what I was being told, because they were very Bible literalists, and we didn't leave that church for a long while, and the stuff that happened there still affects members of me and my family. But when we left there, I started to question myself, my gender, sexual orientation, all of that, because I don't really know why, but something about leaving that church, leaving that cult, just really made it easy to question things. And I didn't know I could. And that,
yeah, well, they teach you that you shouldn't, right? So
exactly. Like questioning is okay as long as you go back to Christianity. If you question and you don't go back, and that's what I was afraid of, that if I question things, I go down that rabbit hole.
Right.
So, yeah. And
well, did you actually were you ever in a Sunday school type atmosphere and asking questions that they were not happy with?
No, I never asked. I kept those to myself because I was just kind of afraid that they'd tell my parents or something. I didn't really know what was going to happen, but I was just afraid of just questioning in general. And
gotcha.
I think really I came out as trans in 2014, and it was at that point where people started telling me things that I knew weren't true about myself. So when they did that, and they were saying that was a choice and all that, and they were trying to show me evidence or whatever in the Bible, that's kind of when I let myself really question the Bible. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was questioning people, but I never thought I could actually question the Bible itself. And I remember very, very distinctly, for some reason, I was recommended on YouTube a video by Dark Matter 2525.
I was just talking about him actually with my good friend Mama Atheist, that's bizarre that you bring him up just like that.
Yeah, it was. I don't know why it was recommended. It was very unlike what I've been watching, but it was the one, I think it was about Sodom and Gomorrah, and it had Hannah and Jake from the Bible Reloaded.
Yeah,
and
I know the one. Yep.
And as soon as I saw it, as soon as I heard their voices, like, they're funny. I like humor. I'm going to check out their channel. And then by the end of the next day, I was like 3 books in on their atheist Bible study, and I was just floored hearing things that I've never heard, because I've never even met or heard an atheist in my life until then. And
right.
It was, I was raised to think that like they were these awful, horrible people that just Satan worshipers or whatever. And then
baby eating.
Yeah, exactly. And so here were these 2 people that were just nice people, real funny, easy to listen to. And that just really opened the door for me as far as questions.
We're just people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's basically all it is. We're just people. We just don't believe the same thing they do. That's all it is.
Exactly.
And I walk around going, got evidence? Right. So this is, if you guys are wondering where this came from, this is from Godless Engineer's channel. Just FYI, you can buy it from his store. Yeah. I have 2 of his. One that says heathen, and this one, the God Evidence.
Gotta get me one of those.
Anyways, carry on. Sorry, I'm
that's fine.
Poking little shots in here and there. So.
That's fine. I kind of ramble if I'm not stopped, so that's fine.
Oh no, it's all about rambling. It's you're in the spotlight today, Alexis. So, if you can you see the side chat, by the way?
I can't. I've there.
Trying to ignore it.
Microphone was, it's like if I start reading, I'm going to go quiet, and then it's hard to do both at the same time.
So I'll if there's anything relevant, I'll pop it in, and it'll show up like right below me.
Okay.
Sort of in the screen, it'll pop in like something like this one here. Here you go. Hannah and Jake were my first atheist YouTubers. Then GE, then Dark Matter, and Dark Matter fucking rocks. Absolutely.
Yes, he does.
And she actually had Dark Matter on her show too.
Oh, nice! I gotta watch that.
She's gonna work on getting him on my deconversion story, so that should be cool. Anyway, carry on.
Okay. Honestly, I watched their content I watched everything they put out in a matter of weeks or months, however long it took. That was about the only thing I was watching, and it took me a long time before I could actually say I was an atheist. In that time, I actually volunteered to film our local church that my grandparents go to. I guess just to make myself feel better. I don't know, but because I don't know why I did that. There was a part of me that did it because I felt like I had to go to church to stay, because I live with them temporarily. And I was afraid that if I didn't go to church, like they kick me out or something. And sorry, I'm just reading this comment. That was really sweet.
Yeah, that's Julie. She's sweetie.
Yeah, and
Wonder Lady said she was giving me a look too. I'm not sure why, but I'll have to put on some flame retardant clothing, I think. Oh, hey, carry on. Sorry.
No, that's fine. And another reason, this is kind of silly, but another reason I wanted to film was if I was in the balcony, I wouldn't have to do that awkward moment where they tell everybody to stand up and greet your neighbor, which is like, as someone with social anxiety, that's one of my biggest fears. And so I just kind of used that as an excuse to get away from that. And I was literally, while I was filming, I was watching like atheist content on YouTube. So I felt kind of weird doing that. And I stepped away after they had a very anti-LGBT sermon, which kind of surprised me because it seemed like a more progressive church. But
right.
And I think it was not long after that I kind of just admitted to myself, okay, I don't believe they're in gods or whatever like I used to.
Right. Did they ever bring up LGBTQIA plus topics before while you were at church, like in the pews or whatever?
No, they never. Well, not at that church. I was living with my grandparents for about half a year before that happened. I moved in because I was basically forced out of my parents' house due to being trans. And it wasn't the preacher himself. Yeah, it's a whole other can of worms. The preacher.
I'll ask some questions about that in a bit. Don't worry.
Okay.
Because that's the kind of stuff that I think needs to be spoken about, because these are kind of abhorrent behaviors that I'm very much against. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what you're asking, though, the preacher never had any messages like that. It was more at the end of a sermon, they would have a PowerPoint, and it was some kind of, it's like a package, I guess churches can get, where they're like pre-written sermons or something. It was, I don't know, it was this weird thing. It had like a trailer for upcoming sermons. And in that trailer, it was like a counterculture thing. And they talked about how the marriage was being attacked or whatever. So that was my last day there.
That one always kind of blows my mind. Like, how is it being attacked? I don't understand that whole thing.
Right.
Are you talking about traditional marriage? Is that what they mean? That it's going to change? Like, because
I'm guessing
two gals or two guys or two pick your flavor people want to get married?
Yeah.
Like, what? Like,
and they never speak about like divorce or whatever. So
it's taboo too, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it is, but for some reason it's less taboo.
You know, they're picking their battles.
Right.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It really is. And it's reasons like this that I think, not that I think religion should be abolished, but I think it should just slowly fade away.
Right.
So that people don't have a use for it anymore once they realize that it really isn't that useful, other than just, it makes me feel better.
Exactly. And that's how I feel. I don't consider myself an anti-theist, though. I mean, I guess some people would call me that, but I'm not like trying to force people out of it. But I am more for people questioning it. I wish people would just allow themselves to do that, whether it sends them back to their beliefs or not. Just questioning's good.
Right. Yeah, I agree for sure. They're afraid of the questions, because if you start questioning, you might actually start finding answers that they don't like and can't give you.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden, that door starts to get wider and wider and wider, and eventually people step through it. And that's the old saying goes, the pews are empty.
Right. That's something I noticed with growing up with the Kinham and all that kind of stuff in my school books. Like,
good Lord.
you were trained to always just ask, were you there, or whatever. It's just a quick non-answer to avoid questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's very good at that, actually. Same with Hovind.
Mm-hmm. Thankfully, I didn't
Hovind
hear
just rambles about
much later.
Yeah, he's a bit of an asshat anyways, and a criminal.
He is.
As Aaron Raw likes to call him, inmate number, whatever the hell he calls him. But it's always inmate number, blah, 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 blah. Which just cracks me up every time.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
So this whole thing about your family, kind of, once they found out you were trans, they kicked you out?
Well, they did it in a way that I kind of got myself out. I was just a little content warning here. I was in a mental hospital for hurting myself.
Okay.
And so I was there for about a week, maybe a little bit less than that. And while I was in there, my parents got in my room and they found, I think it was a skirt. They just found something, and they had their suspicions leading up till then. And when I got back, the day I got back, they had a contract that I had to sign. It had a list of behavior rules in the house. And
whoa.
Yeah. And to make it worse, it was written in part by them and at the time, my therapist. He's also their therapist, and he had to witness me sign it and all that. And it was crazy. Half the rules were like
secular or religious?
Oh, very religious. Very, very religious. This therapist told me after all this, when I came to him, he told me that helping me be comfortable in my trans identity would be the same as like helping somebody to be okay with beating their spouse. He equated it to that.
What?
Yeah, he said it was harmful behavior, and to endorse that would be like endorsing
Behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Because being trans is a behavior now. Is that what he? And this is a psychologist.
Yes.
Really? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody fucking find this person and take their goddamn license away, because that's bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know if he's licensed. I don't really know. It is a religious thing, and I never really got much out of him. But I mean, he does help some people. It's just that it just really threw me off because I wasn't expecting him to react like that. And the list, the contract was like half of it was very reasonable rules, but it would throw in unreasonable ones like in between them, like an awful sandwich. And they would say like number 1, no dark music in the house. And I was going through an emo phase, but it was like by dark music it was green.
Typo negative or going on there.
I think it was Boulevard of Broken Dreams was like the darkest song I listened to. And it was kind of crazy, but and then right under that it had like no female clothing, no makeup, nothing like that are allowed in the house, and things like, because I thought about changing my name on Facebook kind of as a first step, and when I changed it, they threatened to evict me, so I changed it back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like even on the list, it was like go to church, go to that therapist. It was just little things like that. And so they didn't make me leave, but I kind of had to for my own sanity.
Sanity? Yeah, exactly. I mean, I get that they have some of those rules are probably fairly standard parental type things, which we can understand, but some of that stuff just sounds like, what?
Because they had some rules like about like money or like using the card. Those are very reasonable things too. It wasn't all that, but doing it the day I came back from the hospital, I thought was pretty sketchy.
Yeah. Yeah, they could have at least given you a day or two to settle back in, kind of thing. And then slap this garbage agreement in front of you. And
right.
Mind you, they probably did it early, figuring that you would be easier to manipulate, possibly.
Probably.
Right?
That's my guess.
That's really crappy. Wow. What's your relationship like with them now?
It's better than it was then. It's better. It is not great. Like my mom refuses to use my name. My dad will, when he's talking to me, when he's like talking about me behind my back or whatever, he doesn't. They refuse to use pronouns and all that, but it's not, I don't know. It's still really tense, but I guess I've just gotten used to it.
I've never understood the refusal to use someone's pronouns. I've never understood that. Is it hurting you? Is your hair going to fall out if you say it? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, just if a person has pronouns that they prefer, then fucking use them. It's really that simple.
And it's like, my dad is more socially progressive than like he'd like to think. So I think my mom is more, I don't know, they're kind of the opposite. My dad is very politically conservative. My mom's not so much, but socially they're the opposites. And I think my dad, he may eventually come around. And I know it's been 6 years and he hasn't, but he's made little steps. So I'm still holding out.
Little steps are good.
Especially, and I think my siblings are the reason that I can still talk to them and haven't like cut them out or anything. Because I have 9 siblings, and besides one, they're all extremely supportive.
That's fantastic. That's the kind of thing I like to hear. So they've all got your back, pretty much.
Yes.
They're probably, for lack of a better term, probably bitch slapping your folks a bit. Say, hey, get with the times here. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you know what I mean?
Yes. The youngest, he's 5, and he'll like correct my mom when she says something. Like, he'll turn around and like say like, no, her name's Alexis or whatever. So it's really sweet.
Oh, that's awesome.
So like when a 5-year-old can get it.
Right? I was just going to say exactly that. Come on, Mom, the 5-year-old gets it. What's wrong with you?
Right.
Wow. That's amazing. And to actually be at that age, to be cognizant of the issues is something too. That's pretty cool. Smart kid.
Yes.
So did you ever get into anything other than the Christianity? Because myself being raised Jewish, and then I kind of got into the Jewish mysticism thing, and that led right into the whole paganism and Wicca and all that stuff. Did you ever dabble your toes into those at all? Or?
I never really did. I kind of just went, I was hardcore Christian up to a certain point, then just right into atheism.
Wow. So like a switch flipped or something.
It really was.
Was there an extended amount of time for that flip or that switch to be flipped? Like, did it take like a year or so, or a couple of months, or just a few days? Like,
I'd say maybe like half a year, maybe even like 4 months. It was, I think I was actually already there and just wasn't willing to admit it.
Okay. Yeah. Which happens.
Because I can't really pin down an exact day where I stopped believing. I can pin down a day where I said I stopped believing, but by that point I already had for a while.
Right. You mean the day that you actually said, you know what, fuck this, I'm an atheist.
Yes.
That kind of thing, right? Okay.
Yes.
Very good. So would you say that it was a little harder for your folks to realize that you were no longer religious, or that you were trans?
Definitely trans. It was
really.
It was much harder because actually before I came out as trans, I came out as gay like earlier that year, and it was kind of a way I was still doubting if I could ever come out as trans. I was like, well, I can come out as like I'm actually bi, but like I said I like guys, and I kind of used that, and I said, well, if I do this, I'll be okay. I don't ever have to come out as trans because I still haven't really accepted it myself. And they really got upset about that. And so I think when I came out as trans, they were more upset. Maybe it was kind of, I don't really know. Maybe they were just as upset, but they were kind of used to it. I think it was more they were dreading, what am I going to come out next? I guess they thought it was like the sequence of coming out. And so by the time I came out as atheist, they were upset, but I don't think they were surprised.
Wow. Yeah, I guess I could put myself in that sort of position where you think, oh geez, now what? Like that kind of thing. Like what's coming out now.
Right. Especially
if you're in the mindset that they're in, like the conservative religious and that fear fucking everything for some reason. I find that with a lot of religious people, that there's a lot of fear inducing things in the world that just scare the crap out of them, including, the LGBTQIA plus community type things, the atheist type things. Even agnostics kind of freak them out a little bit because they can't figure out why you don't know a God exists. It should be obvious to them, right? So, yeah, I get that. But how do you think things are going to go? Do you think that eventually they'll come around?
I don't know.
Like where it won't be an issue as a conversation, at the dinner table or something. Like they'll come around and because I mean, in my head, I'm thinking this it has to be accepted at some point.
Mm. It's right? I mean, at first, I mean, it's gotten somewhat better. Like at first, they wouldn't let me go in the house, like if I was wearing my own clothes or whatever, and they made like a big deal about it. Now it never comes up when I'm there. They don't bring it up, but they will still like dead name me or misgender me. They try not to dead name me loudly, like in front of my face, because they know I'll call them out on it. But so it's more like they're more afraid that I guess like I'll take it to social media and like blast them. So I guess so I don't know. It might be a little bit of respect. I'm not sure. I really do think my dad will come around. I don't know about my mom, because she has called me sexually broken when I came out, and I was like, okay.
Sexually broken.
Mm-hmm. Not me specifically, but like all LGBTQ people.
Right. She just lumped you in with them. And in my opinion, the sexually broken ones are the priests raping fucking children.
Yes, agreed.
Right? Actually use very similar lyrics in a song that I wrote called Cut the Strings, where it says, broken men, sexually drunk, abusing, that kind of thing. And yeah, so wait for that one, guys. It's coming out soon. Actually, we're nowhere near recording it, so it's going to be a while. Anyway, but it should be a good one. But what does that even mean, sexually broken? I mean, when I think of it, I think of people that can't control themselves around opposite sexes or same sexes or children or whatever. That to me is like you're broken because you can't control your urges, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think it's just because the Bible calls it an abomination, and she won't question it. And it's difficult because I really do love my mom, and I know she loves at least a version of me, but
right.
But to say that about your child, that's kind of low.
My friend Zach had a question for you.
Okay.
Does her being trans affect her work life? Like transphobia from coworkers, higher ups, that kind of thing.
Yes and no. It's affected me getting work, definitely. Because before I came out, I could get work extremely easily because I don't have a lot of experience with things, but I handle interviews very well, and I've worked at a college for a little bit of time, so I have a really good resume. And before I came out, if I wanted a job, I'd just go and by the afternoon I'd have a job. And now I've worked a few jobs since coming out, but in between the job I had now and in between the job I had before the one I have before COVID shut it down, I had almost 70 interviews and turned down by every single one. And in Georgia, they don't have to give you a reason to not hire you or even to fire you. So I can't prove that's why, but it's pretty obvious.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
But, yeah.
You're in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you live near my buddy Ocean.
Yeah.
He's in Georgia too.
Yeah.
I haven't called him this yet, but I will one day. I'm going to call him my little Georgia Peach. See how he likes that one. Yeah, Aaron, I totally agree. Aaron was on my show quite recently, a few months ago. Mm-hmm. And I hate people that think they have the right to say something like that because of a book.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But as far as being mistreated by coworkers, I've definitely had bad experiences, but for the most part, it's been pretty okay. And I think I'm kind of I'm very socially awkward. So a lot of the reason why people don't talk to me in a lot of my jobs is just because I don't go out of my way to talk to other people. I just I'm a dishwasher usually at the restaurant jobs I've worked, so I'm already kind of by myself. And
yeah, I've been there. I've done that one. Oh, Mama, I didn't know you were in Georgia. Actually, I think I did know that. I
didn't know that.
Forget to mention that. Yeah, Mama Atheist is also in Georgia. Oh. Yeah. You guys should start a gang. Yes, yeah, Aaron's I love that you read that exactly how I meant it to sound. It's a book, damn it.
I think Cyrus is in Georgia too, or he's from the South. I think he said he was from Georgia.
I think he is somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. Ask him. I haven't spoken to him in a bit, so I should probably open it with that. So, are you in Georgia? Or what? I think he's right. Yes, I did know that. It slipped my mind, Mama. It just sue me for crying out loud. I'm gonna hear about it in Twitter messages later. But that's okay. I'm used to getting strips torn off me all the time. He's gang. Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Let's see. Represent as female. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, if I didn't know, I would never know.
Really?
Yep, really.
Oh, thank you.
So, yeah, I mean, that aside, with your siblings, you mentioned that there was one that had kind of an issue. What's the problem between the two of you there?
She's basically just a clone of my parents, and she is actually
Technically, you all are.
That's actually really mean to my parents. She's way worse than my parents. My parents, my parents at least love me. They love people. I don't want to talk too much about her, but she is diehard Trump supporter. We've never gotten along, and if it wasn't me being trans, it'd be something else. Yeah, if it wasn't for me being trans, she'd find something else to be mad at me about. So I don't know if it's transphobia or just
like your hair.
Yeah, probably.
Well, that's too bad. But I find I was only raised with one sister, even though now I have three. One of them was killed in a motorcycle accident a few years ago. But that's my biological family, who I ended up getting in contact with and meeting and getting to know them. I've known them now for 20 years, and they've been a part of the family whole unit for a long time now. But yeah, so only growing up with the one, I never really had. I mean, her and I were at each other's throats all the time as kids. Like, she just about beheaded me with a record, an LP, one time, because I had played it and I scratched it. And she said, "You scratched my record," and she just whipped it at me, and it probably right above my head. I was like, "Holy crap!" And you just broke it. So now it works.
Yeah, that messed it up more than whatever scratch you did to it.
Yeah, exactly. I could have fixed the scratch. I was pretty good at that as a kid. But oh well. But yeah, I mean, we used to throw fists at each other all the time. We were a year apart, so. But we're kids, stupid, and kids do stupid things. You think eventually, as her and I have now, we've got a great relationship. We're past all that shit. And we had a big chat one time talking about the way we used to abuse each other, and we had a good cry, and we talked about it, and we hugged, and not to try to turn this into a tearjerker, but we had good relations ever since then. So everything's been awesome, and so I hope one day that happens for you.
Absolutely. Like my the next oldest, the one right below me, she we never fought, but we had our times like when we were younger when we didn't get along all the time. But like now we're absolutely best friends. So
That's
time
great.
helps.
Yeah, it does. It does. Let's be honest. What I'm talking about and what you just spoke about that's your natural everyday sibling rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. It happens in every family unit.
Exactly.
Almost as much as the eventual confrontation of the oldest son and the father, which I had too. Because he used to slap me around when I was a kid. So I think I was 18 at the time, and I was having a little bit of a heated discussion with my sister. Mm-hmm. And he comes out of his room and says, "Hey, what the hell is going on here?" And I said, "Hey, listen, we're discussing this. It's our business. Don't worry about it. Don't talk to him." And I just grabbed him and I held him up on the wall. And he's kind of like, "Holy shit, he's never done this before." And everything changed at that point, right? Suddenly I was the bigger tough guy. Yeah, I just lifted, his feet were off the ground. I swear he had to go into his room and put on some of those Grampers or something. Because I think he had to change. But yeah. And I've heard that many of the older sons of the group have those kind of confrontations with the dad.
Right.
Mark Caesar says, "I will never be on good terms with my narcissistic brother. He's just a star. So I'm assuming dick."
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Well, I really hope that things improve with the family, because although they don't teach you that in the Bible, they say if you have to leave your family to worship me, then do it, right? So for them, it's an easy choice, right? Like, well, if you're not going to be the child that I want you to be, the child that is described in the Bible, then you don't get to be part of this family, which I think is absolutely, utterly atrocious.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, it's ridiculous. And I think the reform of Christianity should have wiped out those kinds of sayings in the Bible.
It really should have.
Bleep, try again, Neil. Anyways, yeah, I mean, the family should be like the number one thing. Your family and your closest friends are like the most important people in your lives, in my opinion. And I get along great with everybody. Well, almost everybody. But I make the effort to do so. Even people that I think others may not like because they have some differences of opinion. I'll still be friends with those people. And
Right.
we could have conversations that might change their mind a little bit about something. They're thinking a little bit better about it or whatever. So I hope that happens for you, where you're able to have these conversations that can smooth over these types of relationships.
I hope so too. I mean, I don't know if I'd say lucky, but I am better off because there are a lot of people who are just outright disowned. And
Yes,
so, I
that's
mean,
true.
I still have a chance, like my folks have a chance of us kind of repairing, but
Absolutely. What about friends? Like friends that you had during your religious days and before coming out as trans? How did your friends handle that sort of thing once you did the switchover?
they left very quick. Every single one.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
It was very, very rapid. Like the day I came out, I watched my Facebook and I just watched it in real time, just drop down, down, down as people left. And it hurt, but if they were gonna end the friendship because of this, it was never really real, I guess. It still didn't make it hurt any less, but
There's a couple of comments in the chat here for you from Aaron.
I have. I mean, the online support has been unreal. That's without the internet, I don't know what I'd do because it's really introduced me. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of negativity on the internet, but also some incredible people. So I've made friends that are much better than friends I had before that left because of this.
Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, it's almost like it's black and white with the internet. You got all these people that are really great people that you get to know and you become friends with. And I have countless numbers of those that's happened to me over the past fucking decade at least, because I had another channel too that was more in the gaming thing and made friends in that community as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's always good when there's people out there that are willing to get in your corner, that kind of thing, and support you and be friends. But this is another one that I saw here that I thought was interesting.
Okay, I'll admit
they belong to her.
I'll admit now they look okay, but I have seen, I guess every trans person that does makeup goes through that. They go through the phase later in life than a lot of people have earlier. So I have pictures from 2016 and I had the worst eyebrows I've ever seen. So it's a process.
Yeah, it's something. It's a working thing.
Yes, because I went through what most people go through at like age 12, at age 23. So it was weird.
Junk Shop wanted, yeah, no doubt. Junk Shop wanted to know if you're still going to talk about the Ken Ham children books on your channel.
Absolutely. I was waiting to make sure that I could do it without like copyright. I've always been kind of a paranoid person. I was afraid that Ken Ham was just going to like copyright.
All you need is a disclaimer. That's all you need.
Because I have multiple
material,
books.
blah, blah, blah. All right. Yeah, definitely do it. Definitely do it.
I have multiple books from when I was growing up that I still own to this day, written by Ken Ham, that are just trash.
What do you mean? I think they all are, aren't they?
They are. There was a book that I had that I read when I was a kid, and I only read it because it had cartoons of dinosaurs kind of every other page. Yeah. And I would
love dinosaurs, right?
I would skip through. There were pages just walls of text. I just skip dinosaurs, skip dinosaur. That's just all I do because I love dinosaurs. And there was a picture
one with Jesus writing on it and all, or
no, but there was a picture of it had these two castles, and it said Christianity and it was like humanism or evolution, whatever. And they had these balloons on top of their castles, and both of them had cannons. They were shooting at each other. And on the creationism one, it had like love of God, family, love. It had all these feel good things. And on the evolution one, it had like pornography, it had murder, it had it had like murder, theft, and then it had homosexual behavior, which it would always say behavior afterwards, and it just had that in between some really awful things like murder or genocide. And even as a kid, yeah. And so it's just little things like that when I saw as a little 8 or 9-year-old that just, and they wonder why I didn't come out earlier when I had things like that in front of me.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Why does it have to be so damn difficult?
Right.
It's just let people be who they are, for fuck's sakes. That's all I've got friends that are still kind of in that camp where they don't understand it. Mm-hmm. That's one of my buddies, just a total fucking, although I don't really call him a buddy that much anymore, and I don't see him that often anymore. He's one of them conspiracy whack job guys. However, if there's a zombie apocalypse, I'm going on his boat. He's got stashes of guns everywhere.
Wow.
All on these islands all over the coast here. So that's the guy I'm going to go hang out with when the need comes. But yeah, I mean, I don't understand it. I don't get it. People should just, if there was a way that we could like, oh, well, no, that won't work because we have anti-vaxxers. It's like a stupidity vaccine or an ignorance vaccine. It's like, here, hold your arm. There you go. And then they're like, oh, no, I get it. You know, like if it could happen like that, that would be amazing.
Exactly. But you're right. All the people that need it wouldn't take it. So,
yeah, right. It's going to give you autism. I think you fucking probably already have it. So ridiculous. It's just, I don't get it, man.
Do people still say that? Do people still think that vaccines cause autism?
Yep.
Still a thing?
Yeah, you can throw. I have a special site that I go to that posts accepted journals, medical journals, scientific journals, etc., and I show them multiple. I say, here's a few different studies that show you. They even have the chemical breakdowns, and being a hack chemist that I am, I can at least somewhat explain to them how that works. But they don't read. They don't want to know. They're that's that Dunning-Kruger shit, right?
Right.
Like it's that there's another word, shit. I just fell out of my head. Cognitive dissonance, but they couple it with the Dunning-Kruger because they already know, and this is what they're going to stick with. Right. It's like, okay, enjoy polio. Like, what's wrong with you? It's like, oh, that's got all these chemicals. Okay, first of all, everything is chemicals. Second of all, the amount of chemicals that are in these vaccines that have the potential to harm you are so minute, the decimal point of the actual number is behind so many zeros that you're not going to be affected by it. So stop with that shit.
Exactly.
Utah Cass. Apples cause autism. That was fantastic.
I did not know the Utah Outcasts were here.
Oh yeah, X is always he likes to lurk in my videos. He's probably naked too, so. There's going to be a post from him momentarily that says, "That's right, I'm fucking naked." Well, anyway, yeah. Oh yeah, Aaron's evolution can't be true because intelligent design. Yeah, show me the intelligence about putting, the fun factory by the outlet, by the poop factory. Like, how's that a good idea? Or where you breathe and eat from the same tube? That was smart.
Right.
How come birds of prey have better eyesight than we do? And fucking octopuses have better eyesight than we do. Oh, you know what I learned recently?
What's that?
You can actually use 3 different pluralizations of octopus. You can use
Really?
octopuses. It's accepted. You can use octopi. And the one that I'd never heard of is octopods.
Huh.
What? I'm like, what?
Never heard of that.
The last one actually sounds cool, and I'm kind of thinking of changing the name of the band to Octopods. But we might need 4 more members to make it. Never mind. I'm all over the place with this one now. Pretty soon we'll be an orchestra. It'll be Octo Orchestra. Or an orchestra.
I just don't get people who, in this day and age, just deny evolution. I don't. You're right. You talk.
X is awesome. I pop into their show quite a bit, which is always fun. Always fun to do that. I just crash in there. Get that fucking Canadian guy's here again. He's swinging his hockey stick around. Everyone duck. Anyway, you were about to say something and I cut you off.
Oh, I was just. It just flabbergasted me that people still deny evolution. Like,
oh, I know.
Because I mean, I was heavily indoctrinated in basically everything I know about real science. I learned the past few years, and it's just out there. It's so easy to Google.
Like, you literally need a rope with one of them hooks on it so you can climb the mountain of evidence that is there. And you might find a few fossils on the way up that mountain too. A few different layers. You know, right? Like, fuck, it's there, people. Just because you're choosing to ignore it is not our fault.
Right.
Yeah.
All my curriculum growing up was the Exploring Creation with series. It was exploring creation through biology, through geology, whatever. And it was kind of awful, which is kind of, I think, why I failed college. A lot of the curriculums are awful, but I went from when I was indoctrinated and all that stuff, I didn't know how fun learning could be, but it's amazing when you actually can see the truth.
Yeah. That's exactly. Mark's dude, hang on, that's not a hockey stick. Shh, Mark. And there you go. Alexis is so right.
Hey.
You and me talking now, they won't hear it for about 30 seconds. So there's a bit of a delay. So I'm not entirely sure which point you're right on, which, well, in my opinion, you've been right on all of them so far. So we'll just take that as is.
All right.
Well, I usually go about an hour for these things. Is there anything else? Like, do you want to, let's talk about what you, plans that you have for your channel, which, by the way, is a link below, guys. Go fucking sub. Don't get a Christmas card from me. Not that I give away. But.
I've been procrastinating a lot on this channel just because it's taken me a while to figure out exactly what I want to do, because I'm really bad at starting a project and then getting about halfway done and then going to another. So that's how I would do it. I'd think, oh, this will be a book review channel. I review books from my childhood. I start reading, then I get an idea for something else, for like a story time animator kind of video where I go through my life. And it was just kind of, I never could settle on anything, but I'm pretty comfortable with it now. I'm actually writing a script on the old Christian radio shows I used to listen to as a kid, because we listened to all of them, like Adventures in Odyssey and stuff like that. And I kind of want to go through that, and especially through the time in the cult that I was in. Like, that's going to be a big focus of my series.
I love how you said cult.
I mean, it was one of those things where when I left it, I was hesitant to call it a cult, and then all the people that come out of it have been calling it that, and I'm like, okay, it was as bad as I thought it was, and because I could do so many videos on that. And after that, I don't really know. I do want to focus on atheist stuff, on trans stuff, but I don't really know exactly which direction I'm going yet. I think I'm just kind of, as I go, just see what I like doing and the stuff that I have planned and go from there.
Yeah, sounds like a great idea. Sounds like, I mean, I had no idea that you had a YouTube channel. I'll be honest, because you don't put it in your Twitter, right? Like you don't actually
Right.
have it
I
there.
haven't. No. I used to have content there. But
I know I saw a little couple of lists or something that you had some stuff.
I had a little atheism series where I was talking about, I think it was Mike Winger. He was some preacher from like 2017, but it was recorded on an old laptop of mine. The audio wasn't synced, and I was just really, really cringy in those videos. So I kind of deleted them for a refresh. And
I look at some of my old ones, same thing.
So like now all I have is like a video of my old fish or something like that. And not much. Yeah.
I think I saw that one, the fish.
Yeah.
Because I said I had at my peak, I think I had 9 or 10 aquariums.
Oh wow.
I had brackish aquariums. I had Lake what is it, Malawi or whatever, Julie's, like cichlids and stuff like that in there. I had Oscar tank. I had piranha tank. I had standard tropical fish tank. I had a saltwater tank. I had a whole bunch of different tanks because I just loved it, but I found that it was taking up my whole fucking day. Right, 3 or 4 of them needed to be cleaned, but I had that cool little contraption, the magnetic one, where you could put one on the inside and one on the outside, and you just go, and it rubs off all the thing. Then I got smart and got some fucking algae eaters for all of them. But like the big tanks, I put the Plecostomus in. Plecostomus is a type of algae eater, and they can get huge when there's a big tank. They'll grow to the size of the tank, basically. And I had one that was over 1.5 feet long by the time it was finished. That was in the Oscar tank. And I had to sell them all eventually because I moved into a place that did not allow that much water in your living room that wasn't in the bathroom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had to sell them all. I made a few $1,000 for it, though.
Wow.
But yeah.
I just have one betta fish, and he's in a 30-gallon tank, so he's pretty comfortable.
Especially they're awesome.
And he's like
that's the other one I had. A little tank with bettas.
Yeah. And mine is, I don't know what's wrong with him. He hasn't grown, and like I've had him about 1.5 years, and he's still like a baby, but he's just small.
They take forever to grow.
They do.
But they're one of the, well, most breeds don't grow to their environment, because I've seen bettas in fucking Dixie cup size tanks.
Wow.
And they grow into their full size. Right? That's how they basically sell them at the stores.
Yeah.
They see them, you'll see immature ones, and you'll see mature ones, and they're in the little fucking plastic cups that they put them in until you purchase them, and then they give you the bigger tank so you can put them in. And we used to put I had a little circle ring thing that floated, and you could put all the plants around it, and he could hide in and out of the plants. Nice. That way you could drop the food in 3 or 4 pellets, and then everyone come over and go, watch them eat. And then you put 2 of them together and watch them go at each other through the tanks. It's hilarious to watch them. They get all pissed off. It's like, when a cat gets angry and it throws up its fur.
Yes.
The betta fish do the same thing, but it's their gills pop out and their fins go up, and they're like, "Arr!" And it's like this natural thing in nature. I guess before you engage in combat, you have to look bigger than the other guy.
Right.
And
sorry.
Oh no, carry on.
I was just saying the fish I had before that one, he did that all the time. I gave him 2 of these little, I think they're called California mystery snails or whatever. And I got them to clean up after him because he made messes. And anytime he'd get near them, he'd forget they were there and he'd mind his own business. But as soon as you ran across them again, he'd flare up and kind of run into him trying to scare him, but they didn't care. And he eventually got
They're snails. They're like,
right.
Buzz off, beta. Such a beta male. Sorry, I couldn't help myself on that one. But I love fish. And then I had tarantulas.
Nice.
Actually, I had tarantulas before the fish, but I had a Goliath bird eater, a blondie.
Wow.
Fucking thing was huge, man. If you put your dinner plate out, its legs would go over the edge of the dinner plate. Oof. Easy. No, I heard the largest one ever recorded, and I believe if it's the same one, I could be wrong here. I believe it was the same one they used in the movie Arachnophobia. His name was Big Bob. And they actually took the steering wheel from a 1977 T-Bird, and they stretched his legs out over the edge of the steering wheel. And those things are like bus-sized steering wheels. Wow. They're huge. And this thing was, and they called him Big Bob. And he was massive, but mine wasn't that big. I think at his peak, before I gave him to my buddy who wrangles animals for movies, I think he was just over a foot long if you spread his legs out. So yeah, he was about yay big. He was a pretty big guy. Actually, on October 31st, I have my friend Brainbug, who will be coming on to my show to talk about. He never was really religious, but he did the whole woo-woo nonsense, crystals and astrology bullshit, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that, the pseudoscientific stuff, and about the whole bug thing, of course. And he's going to bring out, we're doing it on Halloween night. So he's going to bring out the tarantulas and the scorpion and a couple other bugs that he's got around the house. So that should be a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, it's Halloween. You got to bring out the tarantulas, especially.
So do tarantulas that size of, like, do they bite? Or, I mean...
Oh, they'll bite you if you piss them off. Absolutely.
I didn't know if they were, like, very poisonous or...
No.
Like,
no.
I've always heard they weren't, but I didn't know if that was true.
It's like a bee sting. I mean, I've been bitten. Fuck, I can't tell you how many times I've been bitten by, because I had pink toes. I had 4 of them. No, pardon me, 5 of them, and I had them in I'd say probably 65 to 70 gallon fish tank, a big fucker, and I put all 4 of them because they're one of the few species that are communal. So I put all 4 of them in there, and it took about 3 weeks or so. When I first got them in there, they kind of got acclimatized, and you know, you always put your hand in there so they get used to your smell. So when you feed them, they don't fucking lunge at you and bite you. They built like little webscapes, apartment buildings, where they had their own little sections, and then they would all kind of walk around together and hunt the crickets that I put in there, or roaches or whatever. And with the Goliath bird eater, they do something called striation, which is their first defense. Before they start biting you, you'll see them put their legs up on their butts and start rubbing the hairs off. And then the hairs get in the air and they get in your eyes, and they can literally make your eyes bleed if you get too many of them in there. Wow. And it's itchy as fuck, and I can't tell you how many times I had to fucking scrub my skin with a bloody Brillo pad just to get rid of these goddamn things because I pissed them off one too many times. But after a couple of years, I called him Zeus. Zeus was his name. He was a male. I thought he was female at first, and then and my buddy comes over and goes, no. His butt just isn't big enough to be female. That's a male. Plus, he's got pedipalps. And I went, of course, the pedipalps, which is what the spiders use to transfer sperm into the female for procreation. And Zeus used to, and my other one, Elvis, which was a Chilean bird eater. No. Chilean rose hare, which is beautiful light brown with a rose-colored back on it. The pink toes are cool because they're velvet black, and right at the tips of their feet are neon pink. They're really cool. Yeah. But the Chilean rose hare would sit on my shoulder, and I could have the Goliath sitting on the other shoulder sometimes. It got to the point with where they trust you, because that's why you do the whole hand in the tank for 15, 20 minutes a time in a day. They get used to the scent. They associate the scent with feeding time. And then you can get in there and you can scratch them a little bit, pet them a little bit. And then they get used to you. And then you can put your hand in, they'll crawl right up, and they'll sit right up here. Wow. And my buddies would come over for barbecues, and some of them didn't realize that I had tarantulas. And I come out and there's a big fucking spider in my shoulder, and they're going... And I'm like, it's okay, it's my pet. It's okay, this is Elvis. Like, you named a spider Elvis? Like, what? Yeah, I go, well, everyone says Elvis is still alive. I go, yeah, he's right here. Wow. Yeah, it's hilarious. And then I'd bring out fucking Zeus, and they'd be like, oh, okay, we're going home now. Burn the house down. There's a mutant giant spider in there. I go, you guys have never seen one of these? And they're like, nope, never seen one that big. Wow. Anyway, this kind of stuff we could do in the after party. So what do you say we shut this one down, and I'm going to go have a quick smoke, and then I'll send you a brand new link, and we'll have a few friends in, and we'll shoot the shit a little more. Sound all right?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, Alexis, thank you very much for coming and joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for sharing your story with us. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Elvis has left the building. I was waiting for that comment to come out. Leave it to Mark. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. I did. I hope you did too, Alexis.
Absolutely.
One of the reasons I do these is not just for the deconversion stories, but it's to get to know people that are in the community that I call home now, and to get to know people a little better. And I think more and more people should do stuff like that, where they get to know people more.
Yes.
This is how, when we get to know each other better, then we can join our voices together and we can finally be heard, which is important. All right, guys, we will be doing an after party. If you're interested in joining up and hanging out with Alexis and I, just let me know via Twitter messages or Facebook. If you're not on Twitter, I do have a Facebook. You can find me there. It's just Neil Bernstein. It's a bright neon green with the spinning logo on it. You'll be able to see that. And with the whole COVID thing going on right now, guys, remember to be safe and be well. And above all, be kind to one another, because that's important. And like I always say at the end of these things, before I do that, don't forget about the links below. Definitely go follow Alexis on Twitter and on YouTube. And if you dig the show and you want to help, there are multiple ways to do so below. I supplied many links there. And if you're fresh out of the belief system, and you're having some troubles, there's links to help with that as well below. And like I always say at the end of these deconversion stories, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.